Okay, so it's like 5:20. It's so weird how, like, over the past week or no, I don't know. I'm lost track of time. I swear to God, nothing is congruent. Nothing, everything's weird. But some videos back, I was would be downloading and it would all of a sudden go back to taking 3 or 4 hours again. And so, anyways, when I tell you what time it is, then you can kind of, well, some people don't. Um, Notice because they watch it later. But anyways, to me, it's like a pattern. I can watch my own self and see. So when I put it on, because yesterday it was downloading like 15 minutes, and I was like, well, we're back. So I don't know. It's just weird. But they mess with my account so much too. It's just like, oh my God, that is so frustrating. I know it sounds like stupid and petty, but it's very frustrating. um, and then when I was going on TikTok, TikTok is just, it's just wacky. It's like all these videos are just, everybody's just yelling and screaming, exposing this, exposing that. And then you got people falling apart. Like it's like it's wild. Like I don't know what the other platforms are like. I heard what was that one? It was because some of them are being exposed. I think it was a Facebook thing. I don't know. There's a lot of there's just so much stuff going. It's just like wild. And I think that it makes, because you got to think about all these different people's energy all being so high strung, so like freaking out right now. That is, seeing that's what creates this shift, is everybody's emotions going up to this point. And then it's like, it's us. That's why I've been saying it's us that flip this. It's all of us. It's our energy that goes, that flips it. And it's because we all are like, no, this, we don't want this. We don't want this. And that is what we are witnessing, is that the flipping, like that's what we're seeing. The flipping as it's going, where the people are all yelling out, I don't want this, I'm exposing this, I'm showing this. Like there's so much, like, oh my God, it's like everybody, and everybody does have a story, everybody does have this part of themselves, and then it's weird because everything is like on all these different levels. And like I'm learning a lot, like having my ghost boyfriend around, and he has really showed me my own self, where, I was focused on him, and him, well, he did this and he did that, and I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. Boy, when you see the other side, you just see yourself, it's like, oh my God. And then you do get so mad at yourself. But the thing that is so clear is it was always supposed to go that way. The thing that is trippy is like, because I didn't realize like this deep soul connection that I had with him like this, but there was no way to go the other direction. There was no way for it to go any other way than it went. It's like that we were going to always cut. This is the thing is, we're talking about this click, click, click. Everything is clicks into place. Every person is it right there at that exact moment. It's all happening for you. Like you can't see the little clicks happening. But Elegant Witchery, she was saying, some of y'all, I don't know your real names, but this was trippy, because I think she's around my age, and she was hanging out in Hollywood at the same time I was hanging out in Hollywood. And what is so trippy, because I've seen this before too, is like I've been pulled back and see, and this is why I say I think this is like the watchers watch these patterns and stuff. But just like when I'm talking about this click, 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 click. So if you pull back and you watch these patterns erupt, you watch um, like, her and I crossing paths before we know each other. And these, like, our energies aren't that far from our soul group as we think they are. Like that whole thing with the 6 degrees is trippy too, as my person. It's weird because it was like the beginning and it was like the first and the last. It's like, this is, I don't know. I just watch how this plays out. Like it's trippy. It's like, it's so much deeper than I even had any awareness of. But the what was I going to say? Because the something else I was going to say. Now I have first and last, first and last, first and last. Um, but but this person, oh yeah, because that was what was trippy to me, is because, like, the person, before the trigger event thing happened, it was, there wasn't this soul recognition. It was like it had to get to this certain point where I was healed to a certain point. Like, you cannot see what you're not supposed to see yet. That's what's so wild. And it's almost, oh, that's fucking cool. It's almost like me doing this is like me being up on top of a mountain, hollering out at the megaphone, calling in my soul group. And so it is, like, even in comments and stuff like that, like, there's like, we're all so much more connected. That's how we come together. Yeah, like, we couldn't come together without that. Like, nothing is by accident. And so even my person, because before my gotten to this point of my healing, and it is really weird too, because it was totally, I gotten to this point of my healing where I was like, okay, like, I'm good, man, I'm good. I don't need anybody. I'm happy. I felt very independent. I felt like I had released so much. And I was feeling, I was really living good at the time. It felt like I had all these spiritual friends. I was going and doing all that kind of stuff. I was riding the bus, going downtown, going dance. I felt like everything felt so good. And then this trigger thing happened, and it just threw me. It was like, and the soul recognition was so deep. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk to this person. And it was driving me insane. And so I had to go in. I mean, that was the only way. It was to go in. And it was the deep conversations that began happening. But one thing that I realized once I started realizing, like, this soul connection and the things that they were telling me and stuff, like, at this point, before it's even gotten to that thing, we can just say, well, we don't know. I mean, my family thinks I'm crazy, so we'll just go with, like, until it's proven what is going to be is going to be. Like, I'm waiting to see too. Like, am I crazy? Please. And but one of the things that I had found out, because there was some investigating, there was some me, like, trying to figure out, like, what the fuck is going on. And that there was times when me and this person were 1 degree away from each other. And that is, like, what I'm saying, like, and it could have been, I think, because this person was in that area around there too. And I was thinking, how many times was it that, we passed each other without even knowing it? Like, he's over here on this building and walking down, I'm going in this one. Like, that's the shit I think that they watch. And I think that we are like your soul group. Like I've said before, it's like we put off a color. Like, we have like an aura. Like, we have a color, and this place can dim your color. Oh, that's something. So like that they would watch, what dims it, what pulls it, what vibrate, oh, that's crazy too. Vibrating and vibrance. So what the vibrance that comes back is, as the vibration increases, the vibrancy of you comes back. And then when you are at your lowest and you're down, you're just like, and I swear to God, so many people, the reason that they die is because they want to. They give up on life. They give up on something. Even people who are sick, that is a real mixed bag. Because some of the people who are sick, even though to all appearances to their family, they're trying to survive, they're taking the stuff and everything, but it's their will. You got to have that will inside of yourself. And some people are just like, it's too hard. It's too, because this place is hard. It's sad, man. And then Crystal, she cleared some stuff up on that little girl's trial. So she's watching the trial. And it's crazy because you see how this wave takes off. But when you take these little snippets out, and this is what they have always done to manipulate the way we look at things. But then you see it's like happening as all the people are, getting these snippets, and everybody is seeing this look between in her little smirk and stuff. And, and we're all in pretty dark place. We all have a lot of perversion, a lot of sick stuff in our minds right now. And, we want to purge it out. And it's just like all around us. It's like there's so much sickness around us. And it's, that's difficult right there. And so so Crystal wrote a long message. You can go and read it. It was in yesterday's comments, I think, where I was talking about that. It would have been either yesterday or the day before, where I was talking. Like, I have no idea. Like, I like when I just come on here and talk. I used to, back a long while ago, I used to go on and listen to myself for a while, and I would always be like, what was I talking? Like, and so I stopped doing that, because then I don't know. I would start questioning myself and be like, oh, I gotta do that. So anyways, I just talk, but I don't remember all the stuff I say or something like that. It's just, it's very unscripted. So so she's been watching the trial. It's been televised apparently. And then, and so she's found out all the abuse about this girl, what this girl has gone through. And this is the part of our fucking culture that just sickens me. It's like, what is that? It's like, I can't hear that word. I keep like a sacred cow and seeing the person thrown into the volcano. But it's like humanity having to scapegoat this thing. Well, we're not broken. Let's get rid of this one though. She is. It's like this happens because of a whole fucking secretion of brokenness. Just like I said, there's the nucleus, but there's the bleed out. And we are all a part of the bleed out. So we all have a connection. We were all pushed to the point of being too tired. I don't have time for that. Well, that's their problem. I can't deal with that. And so now then we have to see there was an aftermath of that. There was an effect that it had on society when we all gave up on, taking responsibility for it. But it was pushed on us, but we all went into that thing freely. And, just like in the beginning of my journey, it's trippy, because it was like, man, when I look at this, like I'm just replaying so many things that you didn't even think of. And then there's other parts that I can't see. I can't see some parts. I can see the parts that are highlighted, the parts that I guess I'm supposed to heal, or there's other parts like that I'm gonna see. I'm not sure. But it is, it's very difficult to see yourself, especially when you're having to see yourself through this new thing, like what I did to him. And then, how, I mean, he came right out more than once, come right out and ask me if I liked him. And like, how hard is it to say the goddamn truth, Kelly? Like, you're fucking telling everybody out there, like every single person. And I don't know, I guess I thought, like, this is where you really see your dysfunction. And it was just started right there, just right out the gate. Here we go. That's why I was saying there was no choice. Like, I had to go through all these broken relationships as I was not this person. I wasn't this person back then. And how did I get to become this person? Through all the fucking shit I went through. So it was not ever meant that I was supposed to stay there and be able to tell him. I had to see my broken side. I had to have it play out so I could sit here and look back. And then I have to be able to look back and see, oh, so it wasn't him. He wasn't rejecting me. I was so insecure that I created a barrier. And this is the thing that is crazy about insecurity, is that people don't realize how fucking egocentric it is, how it's all about me. It's all about me, for me. I'm so insecure. And it creates us to not be our true selves, to start playing games, like, well, I can't tell him, because then you play it out. Well, if I tell him and he knows that I like him, then he's just going to end up breaking my heart. So I'm breaking my own heart because I'm just keep on doing this bullshit. I can't be honest and stuff. And then, he definitely has shown me all the fucking times like I was taking off, and then that's a pattern that I continued through my life. If things got hard in a relationship, I'm a runaway. I can't deal with this shit. And I was run away as a child. And it's like, this is too fucking much, all this fucking. And then I kept going with people who just wanted to take things from me that weren't theirs to have. But when you have no boundaries, it just is like, it's overwhelming to you. It's like people just keep wanting to take and take and take. And you want to give, you want them to be happy, but they just want to take and take and take and take to the point where you lose yourself. And then and they want to rebuild you and do who they want you to be. And it's a mind fuck. So if you don't, and this is why I say it's like so toxic for kids to go out and try and form relationships before they've formed one with themselves. Like, you have to become whole in who you are before you go out and start letting the beasts of the world try and tell you who you are. And I'm not trying to say, they're all monsters and stuff, but it's a very toxic environment. Anybody who's gone through a bunch of broken relationships and shit, we would tell you. It's not just me. It's like a whole, it's like a reality. It's like a place that you go to learn, and the dating circus. And no, I didn't even date. I just had, it was like, this is something that people thought was so strange too. I couldn't, it was like guys just sweep in and just like, oh, you're my girlfriend now. And then it would be like an ordeal. And then it would be like, oh, you're my girlfriend now. I was like, what the hell how am I just keep being everybody's girlfriend? And it was like this, like I didn't have enough strength to say, no, I'm not anybody's girlfriend. I'm not your girlfriend. And, but it was like more of a safety net, I guess. So it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm their girlfriend. And there was a lot more toxic shit. And like, fuck, there's so much toxic shit at certain different periods of time. But on the first out the gate situation, when I see all of the shenanigans that I was doing to him, like, I was fucking playing games 100%. Well, if I do this, then he'll do that. Well, if I do that, then he'll do this. It's like, it's fucking psychotic. And luckily, him and I were both at the same vibration. That's been clear too. Is that's why it wasn't just me going out the gate, both of us. And I think, I'm not sure. Like, I have things that I pick up on, but I see this as being like healing for us both. About us both. I think it's, him seeing also how much I cared about him. Like, it was so deep. And I'm sure it was, an infatuation, because in order to have true love, we would have had to have some cohesiveness, some kind of, a relationship going, not this weird kind of strange, like, it was kind of more of a hookup kind of thing, I guess, that for back then. And then I would always just take off. And, he'd be saying, oh, well, did you like me? I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go see this other band. Talk to you later. And then he didn't know. Like, to him, I was out there sleeping with all these guys. I wasn't. I was, to me, I was Dickie's girl. Like, that's how I looked at it. And, but you just don't see how you come across to other people. And so, yeah, of course, there's going to be these girls throwing themselves at him when I'm out doing all this other stuff. And then there was it was like such a pressure, man, back then. Like, there was a lot of pressure, seriously. Like, in Dallas, there was they opened the Bunnies Club. And then all of these bunnies were everywhere. And then the bunnies, they all were just trying to get in the magazine too. And so there was all sorts of, like, it was very Hugh Hefner in Dallas at this time. And everybody was on trying to get discovered and stuff, and all these girls, and they all had big fake boobs, and like, I had no, like, I was like my boyfriend said, like, I was a stick figure. He was like, oh, that looks like your body. I was like, cool. That's nice. And so anyways, that, led more to my insecurities, which led more to the point where I started being more in charge. When I had left my husband and started being a nurse and stuff, that's when things, I was where the universe was like, no. But it's crazy too, because when I look at it, it was like, that was definitely never what I wanted. I did not want to be a nurse. I did not want to do any of that stuff. I did it because I thought it was a safe job that I could make money at and still have a life. But it ended up, I just became obsessed with making money and just kept working, 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 working while the rest of my life fell apart. So everything got out of balance and out of whack. But then where I started being able to be like, well, I could get a boob job. But it was a girl in school who had one, and she was putting pressure on me, and she would laugh at me and make fun of my body all the time. And so that would make me feel really insecure. It fed off of these old insecurities. And it's just wild because I did not see myself at all. Like, I can look at myself so different now than I looked at myself back then. Yeah, it's a very strange thing. It's like a total flipping of yourself, of how you see yourself. And so, my insecurities, and it was like, go get plastic surgery. But what's crazy is, I mean, it's obvious that this phenomena occurs because you have all of these girls, all of these women, like Megan Fox is getting surgery on her face. You have all these girls who are considered to be like beautiful women of our culture, like these beautiful women, and they're all out there getting uh, plastic surgery. Even if you see Megan Fox's older pictures from when she was younger, I mean, she was pretty, but so many of these girls, they're pretty girls, are beautiful women, and then they go in, it's like, well, they're not pretty enough. In the Christina Aguilera one, like, I don't think, like, there's something weird. In the Demi Moore too, like, I just did a video on that because this was trippy, because I saw her, she keeps popping up and popping up. And every time I see her, I keep thinking, man, she looks so weird. That does not look like her. And so then it went to, I went on Google and I was looking at her old pictures, because there's another thing too, is that, like, a lot of these actresses that were born around my same time, it seemed like as the decades as moved forward, that some of them were suddenly like they were the same age as me. Now all of a sudden they're a few years younger than me. Like, they're, you know, I did start noticing it's like they shave the years off of some of these people, and I'm not sure why, like, I mean, there's people right now who are saying that there's only a couple of actors out there and they all wear masks, and it's all this whole CGI generated world that we all are, and most of these people that we think are real aren't even real. Like, I know, man, this world's so fucking fake. And but anyway, so I saw Demi Moore on this interview, like, and Drew Barrymore. I mean, I know that she, like, her brain is probably blistered. Fucking, she was little when she got. So, no shame on her. She became whoever it is she became. But it's, she's so fucking phony seeming. God, she just is like, she's so annoying. But I said this clip of, she has a show where she interviews people. And I don't know, I think she just interviews movie stars, maybe, to try and get us to love movie stars. But there's been a bunch of stuff that's been weird with her being exposed. Like, when they had the writer's strike, she was crossing the line, and there's a lot of weird stuff. So there's gonna be stuff, but some of these people, it is sad because they were all victims of this stuff too, especially when they were really little. Like, she was really little, and she was out of bars like when she was 9 years old or something, smoking and drinking and shit. So so whatever, and fuck, for all I know, they killed her a long time ago and just cloned her, and this is a clone who's just easily programmed to do and say what they want. But there's just something strange with her. There's something so strange with so many of these. But so the Demi Moore one, so they were showing her go into these different shows or these different things, like the galas and bullshit. And she was, I kept thinking, man, she looks weird. Or I had said, I think that maybe she's having her body double, or her, in the movies, so that the high paid actor doesn't have to just stand there while they're doing sets and like different things that go on. They have a stand-in person. And a stand-in person can be used for a lot of different things, but and they've showed that before in that movie. That's what the one with Brad Pitt and uh who's he the stand-in for? Is it Ryan Reynolds or something? No, I don't remember. It was that California movie about the Charles Manson family. I think that they are supposed to be the stand-in and the actor. And so all, I think once you reach a certain point in your success, who knows if all of a sudden the studio comes down and goes, oh, guess what? You get a person that's going to stand there for you. And I don't know, it's all on different egos and stuff. I mean, there's some actors that are really shitty and, make their person do all this stuff because it's below them and stuff. So it's all different angles of everything that goes on. But some of them, I think, are friends with them, and who knows, like, and it probably, when they are pulling some of these doubles in, and especially if you're getting older, because that's one thing is what feeds into this insecurity of these egos of these people. Because why do you have these pretty women who are going out and doing surgery of their face? Like, they're already pretty. Like, what is the point? And then but they don't feel pretty. They feel like something's wrong with them because it's all built on these insecurities. Like, and we all think like they've got all this confidence, they're so pretty, they've got all this money and stuff, but they're not confident at all. And so going and doing all these surgeries, and then, like if they have your double walk up and she's like fucking looks like she's gorgeous, 10 years younger than you, like the perfect. And then it could be like on a day where you're like, God damn, look at these bags. I don't want to go out in public. Everybody's going to be taking pictures of me saying I look bad. I'm just going to call up old Bessie over there and ask her to go to this thing for me. And then so, Bessie, she's excited. She doesn't do much, just have stand there and have pictures taken of her. She's used to it anyways. So, but I don't know. It seems like now they're switching her out or something. Because when I went to look at Google, because I was like, okay, I'm going to look at old pictures of her. Find the ones from General Hospital and see. Because there's something that's off. And so when you go and you Google Demi Moore, it's like all these pictures are all like new pictures. Where it's all this girl. And then some of them are these pictures like where she went and did something. I don't know what she did to her face. But it was like this big sunk in thing right here, like, and she went and did some model show or something, and so it has it where she's like really sunk in, but they were like, she's not sunken them in. She like that fat buckle removal or something, like, I don't know what the hell these people do. But this, so she so they show that, and then they show like that was the before, and now she's transformed into this beauty. I was like, I have like, there's something weird. And then you go down. So this was what was really tripping me out. So then when you would go to older pictures, it was like they were morphing them into this other girl's face. And I was like, fuck, this is so creepy. And I kept looking at him and looking at him. And I found a couple of pictures where I thought, okay, that looks like her. But it looks like they're trying to change her face into this other girl's face. And I was like, are they just trying to erase the old one and put the new one in? And then is it going to be like, oh, look, she's so fabulous. Even in 90, she still looks like she's 40 or something, which, I mean, that is all true. But there's more with the shady shit with Hollywood because it's so artificial. So that's what is so strange. Maybe she really is taking really good care of herself. As before I'd seen, she did seem kind of like a health nut. But then you see these things where like she's all strung out on drugs and stuff. So I don't know. Some of these people I think are just all over the place, like bipolar or something, like they're a mess. But she was using oils and stuff on her face a long time ago, so I thought, well, her skin probably is really good, but it's beyond her skin. It's her face. It's like her face. It's like where her eyes are. And there's something just strange. And I don't know. Just the whole thing with Hollywood, it all seems so weird and fake, and it weird to me. Like you would think her daughters and stuff would notice if it was like that they went and took a clone, like if they just put another person, or do they get to have a like? Because we've got all these people now, or there's a list that's come out now. There's like 600 dead people who it was all fake. No, I didn't go in and read all the thing. I saw a couple of names. I was like, is somebody just making all this stuff up? Are these people really going to be coming back and stuff? And some of them would be pretty old. And which is, well, the Bruce Lee one. Who is that? I just saw a video of Jack Ritter, and he was talking crazy talk. Stephen Baldwin, he keeps doing these ones talking crazy talk. And I think it's because that they know stuff. I think Stephen Baldwin is Justin Bieber's father-in-law. I think Haley Bieber she's Haley Baldwin, but I think that's the brother. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I get those sons mixed up. Alec, there's like 4 of them or something, like the Wahlbergs or something. Oh, yeah. And I thought Wahlberg was like a decent guy, but now they're saying, there's so many things that just have to come out and show. Because then they're saying like he was going to the freakouts. So I don't know. You know, like Cat Williams said, like when you get invited to those parties, like you wouldn't really know. Some of them, like if you hadn't been to them, and there'd just be this big giant mansion party. He said you find out is when you start opening doors and looking around, and then you start seeing things you wish you didn't see. So it's not like, I mean, I think at a certain point, but also there were supposed to be certain rooms, like, who is that? Orlando Bloom, I think, is saying, like, the dealer had 50-foot bed. So, like, fuck. A king-size bed, I think, is 6 foot. Like, so I'm sure there was some orgy situation that was going on, and it's like, why would you need a bed that big? And so, you know, and what bedroom, like, what is a bedroom that holds that bed? Is it just a room with a giant bed and maybe some lights, cameras, action? Like, I don't know. Is that's what was all going on. And so now, too, what is happening is all this stuff is an implicated drug the Kardashians in, which that, like, we all knew that was coming. Like, they're gonna crash hard. There's gonna be a lot of people are gonna crash hard. It all has to do too with like what your energy was that you've been putting out, and it's not. It's like the universe showing you the counter side, like the other side of what you were doing. So whatever it was you were doing, now you get to see the other side. It's not like, you know, some people are going to feel like it was a punishment or something. And then a lot of people are even marketing is like God's about to punish you for what you've done and stuff. But the punishment's going to come from within. It's going to come from within you of how you look at yourself. And believe me, like, fucking, this shit is hard. Like, it's weird. And I'm sitting here over myself when I was, so when I met him, I was about to graduate from high school. I graduated in July. And I mean, I graduated in June. And I think it was like June 1st or something when we got out of school back then. And then I became, my 18th birthday was July 18th, which his birthday, I think he was a Leo. But I didn't even realize like his birthday was around my birthday. And I don't know, you know, I don't know. When I look and I see myself, I was just like a fucking tumbleweed. Like I said, I've been like a hummingbird in life. I've always been going around to all these, like, I don't want to miss out on anything. I want to be there, see it all, do it all kind of person. And so, you know, it wasn't like I was trying to do anything to hurt him, but my insecurities did hurt him. And my inability to be honest or vulnerable, that hurt him. And so I can see how the repercussions of my insecurities, now I look at, you know, like insecurities with people is like, that's kind of frivolous. Like, you don't want to live off your insecurities. You want to learn how to let them go, because it puts out, you do toxic shit to try and get what you want, to try and get people to accept you or to whatever it is. Like, to me, to that relationship, all of them have different dynamics and stuff, but that one was definitely me trying to protect myself. I was so scared of him hurting me that I kept myself in this space of being hurt, like I was hurting myself. And I can see that so clearly now. But it was like years and years and years, I didn't see that at all. And I've only been able to see that now. It was like realizing he was gone. But it was started the day before. It was the day before he showed up, when that song had come on. And then he kept being around, and that's why I was like, I wonder what's going on with him. Did he die? And then I started looking, and that's where I started seeing. But I you can interact with someone's energy without them being dead. We have more of a connection than we realize, especially with your soul group. And there is this thing about these patterns, like it's trippy because like if we were sitting here with the watchers, and then I also, there's different levels of seeing, and so there's a definite level of where they're looking. It is like watching a kaleidoscope. It's like looking through a kaleidoscope and watching the color patterns create. That is what it would be like looking in the oh yeah, I was watching this old movie yesterday. It was one that Newcastle After Dark. They put on another movie. Everybody in the comments was very excited because there was like a lull that was going. So it's like, oh, they're back. Hopefully, they start putting more movies on. But they have a lot of restrictions and stuff and copyright bullshit to try and put on old movies and stuff. So this old movie is an old Russian movie. It was an old Russian horror movie from the 1967 or something. And it was good. It has subtitles and stuff. I really liked it. But there's one part, well, it was in a bunch of times, but this part where the guy would have to draw this circle around him, and then the witch, and she couldn't get through the circle, and she would go around him and around him, hitting on, and she couldn't get through. And he was in there doing his prayers because it's a creepy story. It really is creepy. So it's a folklore, and it's a Ukrainian folklore story or something. And all the folklore is real. That's the thing. And so the witch is trying to get in, and he is drawn that circle, which a lot of people know about. Like if you put salt around, if you create a barrier, like there's a whole thing with these bindings and stuff. There's a reason, there's a lot of crazy shit when it comes to soul stuff. And so he built this vibrational barrier or something around him so she couldn't get to him. And she was trying, but that, when I was watching that, I was thinking, this is what the firmament is like. That's what, it's like we are contained, like a circle was drawn around us by the universe to contain this energy, because it can't go out into the ethers. It has to have a containment. Just like when, like what they say now, what a tumor is the containment of this toxic ectoplasm, toxic energy, toxic, well, in the case of these things that we grow, the parasites. And so it's kind of like, though, we are parasites to the earth until we are working in harmony with the earth. So it is, and then the releasing, so like if you, like what they say, you're not supposed to let them biopsy, nothing. That is all a thing. And it releases the stuff into your system. So you're not supposed to let them do those. And they are always wanting to do those on everything. Well, we'll biopsy it, we'll see. See, and I didn't go for that one, which I'm glad, because I'm still working on it. It's like a little, I don't know, it hasn't had a big thing for a while. So I'm really hoping it's going away. That I've done enough where it's, manageable, it's going away. And, but they go in, they biopsy those things, and then it releases all that stuff into your system. And so that is what the universe, like we're contained, because they can't release all this toxicity out into the system of, but but this is how it's going to work, is that we create this explosion because we change. We change how we look at things. We change the direction of humanity. And that to me is the expansiveness. It's like this big bang occurrence that we create because we see our value, that we want something different. We don't want to live the way that they want us to live. We want to have the freedom to make the choice of how we want to live. And I really think that it's a much more natural thing to live a life of a bucket list. Like, I think that that's what we're supposed to live from the start. We're supposed to just be out like, oh, I want to make sure I do this before I die. I got to do this before I die. I'm going to do this. And a life of adventure. And, they keep us where some people fear adventure, is then they think like, well, something can happen to them. I'm scared of things. Like, I don't want to go in the forest and just go walk around. Like, there's things that scare me too. And so some people, like, they don't want to go jump out of planes or go do things because they think they're going to get hurt. Well, nothing can happen to you that's not meant to happen to you. Nothing can accidentally happen to you. If something happens to you and you get an injury, you were supposed to get that injury. There was a reason. There was a big reason why I got a brain injury, and it changed my life, and I'm so glad that it did, because I was not living my truth. I was not living a life I wanted to live. I hated that job. I fucking hated being a nurse so much. I fucking dreaded it. It was fucked. And in the ER, what I noticed too was this definite division between the workers and the patients. Like, the people who work in the ER are so motherfucking sick of the people who live in the city. And because the people don't take care of themselves. You just deal with people all the time that don't take care of themselves or want somebody else to fix it. And so it's a whole thing. And people just like look at them just like, ugh. Like, and it was very much like where I would be driving around like town and stuff, and I would just think, God, you're all a bunch of stupid idiots. Like, my attitude was really shitty. I was just like, fuck, people are stupid all the time. I just couldn't believe it, because that's the people I dealt with all the time at work. And it does drain you. It gets you really beat down. Just like, fuck, man. The people that you deal with in the hospitals and stuff is, they're it's very passive. And I had it too. Like, fuck, man. And mine started with the migraines. That's how I got started in their fucking medical bullshit. But and they just add on more and more and more, because of course you're going to have issues with whatever they give you. And then they try this and try that. Oh, what was that one? Because that one was a surgery of, what was that? It was this girl saying something about something that she was getting or had gotten. And what was that thing? God, I can't see it clear enough. But whatever it was, it didn't work out or whatever. And it was because they're just practicing. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't remember. It was extreme. Whatever happened with that girl, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it'll pop back into my mind. But it definitely, like, there's all sorts of extreme things happening. They're still planning on fucking killing Marcellus. The governor's just not showing up. And what is that going to be tomorrow? They're planning on putting that guy to death. I think that they're going to have people showing up at that prison or something. Like, it's so crazy. It's like, they're doing this so they don't have to pay him out? Like, what the fuck, man? How can this even be? And it's so public. And then, like with this little girl, like, how can you charge her as an adult when she's faced all this abuse? And she did this when she was 14. We have all these kids. Like, there's so many kids trials right now. There's like 10-year-olds that killed 8-year-olds. There's 12-year-olds that killed 5-year-olds. Like, there's so much chaos out there of and then this stuff with the kids and the dogs and stuff. And one thing too is, like, all these people get all caught up in the traffic, and oh my god, we gotta save the kids from the traffic. And it's like, it's so much worse than that. It's so fucking much worse than that. And then I said something about that, and there's people like, oh my god, how dare you? And I was like, okay, you gotta be a bot. because that's fucking ridiculous. And the people, like, yeah, being trafficked, like that's fucked up. But those people all survived. Like they get to go out into the world and take what they experienced and learn and grow from it. The other people who their life was cut off right then and there in a horrible, horrible tortures and stuff. Like the amount of rituals, like I just saw this one guy talking, and his was church. Like his was church. His wasn't even these other. But a lot of these churches are still the same fucking. It's creepy. So his, and he said what was really um hard. And I hear these stories all the time. These happen all the fucking time. There's so many of these whistleblower people out telling their childhood trauma. Um, so this church found a homeless guy. Oh, we're gonna help him. Oh, look, everybody meet him. He's the greatest. We're gonna help him. We're gonna get him what he needs and stuff. Well, I guess what they decided he needed was to be killed in front of everybody and everybody drink their blood, drink his blood and shit. So but he said it's also coordinated. He said that there like all of these different groups are like have like on the phones and on, he said they're like on these devices and stuff, and they do these things all at the same time. So the terrorizing, like the energy that comes up, and you gotta remember like what I'm talking about, like the watchers watching like this giant kaleidoscope going as we all go through these patterns of existence. And then what was I gonna say, as a person. Oh, so when that, if it's like what he says, and they do this all at the same time, that's a fucking explosive energy that would come off at the planet. That's the ritual. That's right there. If it's feeding the beast being the dark energy, and then feeding the beast, like how many bad things happen in our lives after they do this stuff, like. But that would be a powerful thing. And they show that kind of stuff in so many movies. In Cabin in the Woods, this whole fucking thing about this beast underground. They got to give the blood, and they got to do all this stuff to terrorize us and create all this chaos and stuff. It show this in so many different movies. And so whatever, they coordinate these things to occur. But on some of this stuff when you hear like how horrible is, like they go get like say, these people, like a lot of the people who are brown people, like the people who are the people in charge, whatever their beings are, these specimens, these vampire people, whatever the fuck they are, they are so they they're the buyers. So the buyers like brown, like that's their preference, or is brown. So all these places that are brown, primarily brown places, like America gives an illusion of the mix of colors in some places. There's places that you would go and everybody's brown. Lots and lots of places you would go and everybody's brown. And so, and what they also do is they destroy the economy. So they create desperation. And that desperation creates criminals. So they flush the criminals. Like I've said, it's like a filter system, what they've created. And it flushes the criminals to the surface. So then they give the criminals what it is they're looking for, what they're buying. And so then the sellers go out to look for the product. And there's a lot of coercion and crime around the product, because there's poor people who are told like they're going to get their kid a better life. They're going to, take them. There's some people, they even charge them to take their kid to a better life. And so there's a lot of But there's also a lot of just taking kids. And then you take them from poor people, and what are the poor people going to do? That is what we've had going right here in front of our faces. Right there with CPS, DSHS, and stuff. Now it kind of turns my stomach, the Amber Alert. The one I had just seen was a mom who has her own child. And it's like, see what? They fucking chase us around. We got to kidnap our own motherfucking kids from them. And then they got to fucking chase us around and get us to tell on each other. It's like, these people are fucking but so they steal the poor people's, and then they just keep this cycle going, creating more poor and more frustration. And then that feeds the beast as well, because of the pain that people experience trying to survive in the world. And so they take all of these little brown kids, they just round them up, and I don't know, some of them, they probably tell them that they're going to, you're going to your uncle's house, you're gonna be great, it's gonna be great. They lied to them and stuff. Some of these stories of these people who are the rescuers of these kids, like when you go to these other countries especially, and you, like, some of these people travel to these other countries, and then they, order up what it is they'll have, and the people will go get them, and they're heartbreaking stories. This guy was saying that the kids are just sitting there bawling their heads off, and the people who are, they'll get mad at them and stuff, and they're trained to do porn and stuff. They were made to watch, like, there's just this, like, making kids into sex. Like, oh my God, these people are so fucking, good luck with your karma, dude. So then but those kids, so they round up, like, they'll take like 30 kids, like some of these, like, especially like royals and stuff like that, like, bring them in about 30, and then they have a hunt. That's the thing. And that's been in movies too. And it's what's said by the survivors is that the kids don't know. They don't know what's going on, and they're just put out into this field and in this forest and stuff, and told to run. And they'll hear the blowing of the horn. They'll hear the dogs and the horses, and they're just told to run and hide. And it's terrorizing. Like, and then they just, they treat them like animals. It's a sport. And then there's a whole other thing about the partying people out. There's a whole other part about taking them and using them as a baby factory, because they got to keep, the babies coming. Just like, whatever, they need a lot of babies and a lot of kidneys, whatever's going on here. It's, it's a constant in motion, need more, need more, need more. But all these things, is what drives us for this change. So, I mean, that's the good part of it. All this sickness, all this disgusting stuff that's happening is what is going to be birthed from it, is something good. But it's, I mean, there's a lot of horrific things that we've got to experience that make it matter, to make it where we want something better. Like, we still have people who are like, let's just go back to where we were. There's no fucking way I'm gonna go back. There's no going backwards. And one time, this was after my dad was already dead, and it was when the medium was there, and we were talking about, and I think it must have been an ex was coming back and pursuing me at this time, and I was, so she asked him something about that, like, what am I supposed to be doing or something? Am I supposed to be like going in that direction? And definitely it was like, no, if it didn't work before, why would you go backwards? Don't go backwards, you go forwards. And so, yeah, I would not go back to a relationship. And the one that kept me trapped the longest, I did do that. I went back, I'd leave, I'd finally leave and go, and then I get pulled back. And it would always be out of my own insecurities of feeling like I was doing something wrong. If I would just, not put pressure on him, if I would just, not say that at this time, if I would just not look at him when I said that, if I would just, all these different things, if I could just do that, our marriage would be okay. Everything would be okay. And it was very stressful, to have 4 kids and think like I'm going to break up their world because I can't get along with this guy. So that is where I kept being like, I've got to, put myself aside and try harder. And, when we go back and look, like I'm sure, if I have to go back and look at this relationship too and see all of the things, I mean, I can basically have been able to witness myself of my own toxicity and stuff. But at this point, the relationships were such a degree of toxicity to the point where, I'm like having to escape and go to a shelter and stuff. And I tried to leave so many times. And then I would always get sucked back in and sucked back in. And it's weird too, because then I just think, God, if I just would have left and just went back. But I still, I was still, not, I was still toxic. It took a long time for me to stop being toxic because I was toxic to all of these people. It's like I was toxic to him. I thought he had all the confidence and I was toxic. And so whatever I have done triggered these other people. Like all of us, we trigger each other. And then I can sit there and, blame them and be like, oh, well, they're just a horrible abuser. They're the worst people in the whole wide world and stuff like that. And my first husband, he was like he had some psychopathy. Like he was pretty scary. And I don't know if he's still alive or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine he would come visit because you can't go and be around people who aren't like from your soul group. Like that. It's not like we're interacting with strangers. And so, but then there is these parts that these people come in and play that are so atrocious, but then they really do get you to grow. They really do push you off the ledge, man. But some of the people, it's like, it's hard to imagine, that I have a close connection to some of these people. But then, with Dickie, it's been like really, it's been like cleansing, and it's been helping me to see my own decisions is what put me into a certain direction. And then I can see how all of the relationships went. And even when the one guy my first marriage guy, and he was the one who was pursuing me so hard, and he was from out of state, and he would write me and call me and write me and call me and invited me to go there. And, I was always looking for adventure. I was always looking for some kind of fun, something exciting. And so, I went, and he just kept pursuing me so hard. This is the thing that really gets me too, is when somebody is going after you, you just, it's like submit. Even if it's not what you want, it's like when you're insecure, it's just like, well, maybe this is what I want. I don't know. I don't know. There's something very dysfunctional about it. Not being true to yourself. Insecurity is really like, if you have some insecurity, really work on them. Like that is something that, or you're just going to be kicking your ass at some point like I am. Like, God damn. So really work on your insecurities because they really are toxic. They're very toxic to other people because it makes you be different, makes you behave in odd ways. And that just is a triggering thing, like where everybody then starts doing odd things. Like we're all just doing weird things to each other, trying to get something instead of just being real and talking. So, but when he was pursuing me, and I was like, there's certain things I can't see. Like I said, like when I got engaged to him, like, and I don't think I was engaged very long. I swear to God, I think it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get married. And it was my dad was the fucking trigger on that. It wasn't like I was like looking for somebody to marry me. I was just staying in California, living with him. It was my dad who was embarrassed. And, like his whore daughter's out there living with some guy in California. And so he paid me to get married. And I surrendered to that payment because I wanted to use the money to go travel around Europe. So I didn't take anything in life seriously. And that's why I had to see, you know, the repercussions. But I was trying to see, like, because I can see when I took him to the thing, and I'm sitting there with him, and Dickie is over here on the stage. Dickie runs down off the stage, comes right to our table, and I was just like, God, oh, was I trying to like make him feel bad? Like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's so fucking toxic and dysfunctional when I look back at it, all this stuff. And especially seeing it from a different perspective, seeing it all like, oh, what was done to me, poor me, poor me. And then all of a sudden to see like, no, look at what you did, look what you did, look what you did. And it's like, oh my God, I was fucking so toxic. And then I just went into this whole life plan. And that is what, there's no getting out of your life plan. There was no like, well, you know, I could have, but it's trippy is like where I see like if I would have been a healthy person, if I wouldn't have needed to go through all those things, then I was probably right where I was supposed to be. I was probably right there with a person who would have been good for me. Like he didn't do shitty things to me other than like leave with other girls. And but he was seeing, like we were both seeing, and by all appearances, that's what I was doing. And that's what I was saying. It was kind of like this, where it was like a hookup kind of thing where people would think, but that's not how it felt to me. Like I was madly in love with, I wouldn't have been hooking up with him. It was, he was like, for a long time, I was like, man, this guy's the love of my life. And then, but I couldn't tell it. That's just so weird. And then I go into this other relationship, like I throw it up in his face and stuff. And then it was like all of that came back on me. It all came back, all like, and then, you know, being, and then, and you know, I can see too where I was supposed to be. There was no me going back to where it was. I had to go forward into the choices I had already made. It was already, the trajectory was set, even though it was always set, but it was just these weird points where you can see like, oh my gosh, that's where it all went wrong right there. And so went in that direction that took me down a very toxic, painful ride through life. And it took a long time for me to learn how to love myself. Like, you can't go out and be in relationships and expect people to love you when you don't love yourself. And it makes it more complicated when they just choose you because they like how you look and they don't give a shit how broken you are. There's so much toxicity to how we've all adapted to relationships, artificial, and so much surface. There's so much on surface, and it's important to go deeper into stuff. And that's what Universal is going to do this favor, to get us to go deeper, to get us to look at ourselves in a harder way, to get us to make these changes, because there's no way to go forward unless you do. That's the only way to move forward, is to let go of the past, to heal from what it is that you have been through or put other people through. Confirmation, the things that you have done. I forgot how to make a cup of tea there. Well, it was like gone. But the things that that you have put, it's like you put yourself through the things that you're here to go through and experience. And it's weird because when you can have so many things, you just think like, there's no way, why would I choose to go through all this stuff? And then it's weird, but yeah, we really do. Like, we really do. I really think it is that is where this whole ego thing even comes from. Is like this ego part of the soul. I thinking like it can do all this, it's going to master this and do that. And then once it comes in, it's like all of the obstacles that get in your way. And then plus you forget who you are. You forget where you are. And then you don't even know what it is you're fighting for. So it's very confusing. And then you have all these bad things start happening to you, and you think, well, Like, how did I get here? What am I doing here? And why would I? And then people start saying, like, well, you chose your life. And people get mad about it. People get mad when you tell them, like, especially if they've gone through some really junky stuff. And there's just like, no way, I did not choose this. That's stupid. But it really is true. Like, when you go and start really doing more research into spirituality, especially with near-death experiences and stuff, there's a lot of information you can get from near-death experiences. There's so much information now out with all the different people doing the hypnosis, and then there's lots of different books and stuff on reincarnation. And I just think there's a lot of information out there you can just read and start putting it together for yourself. But yeah, it's not just like I just came up with this. Like, this is a whole bunch of different people where everybody's like, no, you made all these choices. You decided on this life. This was what you came to play out, to experience, because there's a benefit. Like, there is truly a benefit in that. And when I do look at my own self and I see like the person I was when I made those choices, where I started the trajectory of my lessons, was I wouldn't have wanted to stay back and be her. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to remain her for the rest of my life. Like, and another realization I had is I wouldn't have wanted him to be the one who hurt me in those ways that where I was hurt in the further down the line. And I'm glad that, I don't know, I feel like mine and his relationship still has like a purity to it or something. But some of these other people have done things that were very hurtful, like very hurtful. And I'm sure, that I hurt them just as much as they hurt me. But it is, I'm glad that it wasn't Tim or him that had done these things, because yeah, it does make me look at some of these people like, fuck, I wouldn't want to spend all this time with them. Like, I like his energy. His energy is, I like his energy. It is like a match on my energy, which that also made me see like this spiritual connection of, like where our vibration is with our soul group, of how it is that we kind of match their vibration. So when he's been around, hasn't been like I think there's some other like if that my first husband died, like I would think he'll have to go and spend time in the purgatory place. Like, I can't imagine him being healed and cleansed from his choices when he passes. And he's made some very toxic choices. So yeah, I wouldn't want him. But my dad's come back around, and I can feel when he comes around, and it is weird because it's like it doesn't feel toxic, like his energy at certain times, but it's a very recognizable energy of knowing like that's my dad. And then plus, like, they'll come in with smells and stuff too, like, so you can remember. And then but with Dickie though, it feels very much like, oh my God, like, I don't know, it's been powerful. It's been very powerful to look back at myself through all of these things and see myself in a new way. And I think it is, really helps me also to see, in order to try and tell people, how to heal and stuff, like, insecurities are fucking toxic. Like, I had no idea. It's like, you think like, well, I'm insecure because this happened and that, I'm just insecure or something, but you don't realize like that that's kind of like, oh, poor me, like I'm insecure. Like, you got to put yourself out there. You got to, don't feed the insecurity. Like, so what? If you do something weird, so what? If you say something weird, so what? If you walk funny or whatever the fuck it is, what we get insecure about. It's like, it really is like you build a prison around yourself with your own insecurities, and then you just like react and lash out at people because you think that they are out to get you, or they're going to hurt your feelings or something. And that is another thing too, what I was talking about, where people put on a bunch of weight to protect themselves. So I know that there's tons of us who go out into the world feeling like, we've got to protect our insecurities. We got to take care of ourselves. Everybody's out to get us. Nobody likes us. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not fat enough. Like whatever the things are, that we're never enough. We're never enough. So then we feel like shit about ourselves. And then this place feeds it, like, oh, it's the Kim Kardashians of the world. That's the pretty girls. It's like, fucking shit ton of pretty. I see girls with red hair that are pretty. I see girls with blonde hair that are pretty. I see girls with all types of hair that are pretty. So that girl, I don't even know why you're, and then plus like all the shit through all of that stuff, like, here, cinch our waist. Here, get big boobs. Oh, here, get a big butt. Here, get extensions. Here, no, cut your hair, bleach it off. Go get extensions. It's like, I mean, she's had people out there just running. Oh, get this makeup. Oh, my sister makes this makeup. Oh, get these Skims. Get these body hugging things. Don't work on yourself. Why would you do that? Just go and put on all this fake stuff. And it was really getting to me too. It was, I was thinking it's weird is like, because you see these older people, like there's older people who just like, it's horrible getting old. I'm just getting old. And, you just want to be young again. Like you see all these older women trying to show like how you can look young still. You do your makeup like this so you can look young still. It's like, what is everybody so caught up in trying to just look young? Like, what is the thing about looking young? Why not just look like good for where you are? Like, take care of yourself and be the best that you can be and be happy with, knowing that, fuck, I'm doing good. I take care of myself. I'm doing good. And then, but instead, people, it's like this toxic phenomena that always happens. And so let me think what I was going to say. They're looking good. Oh yeah, because then it seems like there's all these people who just, it's like don't like themselves for getting older and just focus on this, like, if I could be young again kind of thing. And I don't know, I like, there's just certain things that I hear these people say, and to me it's like, like I said, why wouldn't you just be happy with yourself of where you're at and take care of yourself? Why would it be like, well, you need to, go back and be 20 years old to have value? It's like, well, I've lived a lot of decades to give me value. I don't think I need to go back and look like I'm 20 to have value. And so there just seems like a really weird thing about that. And, but what is weird is like where you have all these 20 and 30-year-olds that try and, make like they've got it all going on. It's like you haven't even had to reach the challenges yet of taking care of yourself. Like some of these people have not even had to start actually putting in the effort and putting in the effort for years. And they think like, oh, look at me. I've got it all going on. I look good. It's like, let's see how good you look once you've gone through some pregnancies, once you have gained weight and had to lose, once you've gone through some big stresses, like once you've lived some life, let's see how you can carry on forward. Like that's your starting point. Let's see where you go with it. Because there's a lot of people who get all up in their own asses at this certain point, and then they just go off the ledge. Like everybody has to learn how to take care of themselves. Like there's no way to live your life. Otherwise you do deteriorate, you do age, you do fall apart. Your skin will go bad, your hair will fall out, you will gain a bunch of weight, your muscles will atrophy, you'll become weaker, you'll just begin to like disappear out of the game slowly. And that is and it's trippy because it's like the color of you leaves, like all your vibrancy leaves. You start becoming this gray skin, white hair, your eyes become dull, they become cataracts, they get a film over them. Everything in your body starts sagging and dragging. And then, they tell you that that's natural order. No, it's not. It's like choosing to not live a healthy lifestyle. It's like not choosing you. It's not, you gave up on yourself, and it's because, well, they didn't have to work at it. They're 20 years old. They didn't have to work at it. Now I have to work at it. And if I could just go back and be 20 again, It's like, no, this is like, there's different segments to life. Yeah, that's your starting point. You can stay at your starting point, but you got to put in the effort. And just so many people that they just get in their ego at their starting point and they don't even put in the effort and then they just fall off the ledge. It's like you got to come out the gate taking care of yourself, being honest, being authentic, being real. And it's so important. Like so many kids, and we got such toxic households, and people don't feel like they belong in their own families and stuff. And we have so much of people trying to escape their own life, run away, get away from them. Yeah, nobody wants to. They just want to go feel good. They just want to go be around people that feel good, do things that make them feel good. And everybody wants to be a couple, start a relationship, have somebody who's there for them. And the thing is that you got to be there for yourself before you can be there for anybody else. You can't. It is an illusion. And I take it from somebody who's been through it, man. You have to start out like if you're a kid and you're just trying to start out in this toxic world, and it's just fucked up. People are depressed. There was one guy, I just saw a video, and he was telling his mom, he was from another country, and he was telling his mom, I'm not going to date any of the American girls. They're all on drugs. He said every single one, like it's almost like it's a badge of honor to talk about your neurodivergent mental illness and stuff. It's all that they want to, have empathy for their struggles and stuff like that. It's like, you can't get caught up in your struggles. You don't get caught up in all of their fucking labels and shit. You got to see like your challenges and overcome your challenges. And so when you are at these points and they want you to just here, take this, and here's a diagnosis, tell everybody this is what you got, spread the word and tell them we got this for them. And so that goes and ripples out, and then you got all these people like hate themselves, they feel like they're broken, something's wrong with them, they all want this. And so but when you are younger and you are coming out into the world, there's so much more importance to you going out and to discover yourself in any of any of the people who you come across. Like, even if you feel this like strong, like, oh, I want to marry them, I want to be with them and stuff, because it was right after I got fucking married. It was like the universe was not letting me out of that, because I was pregnant within a couple weeks. And I had I thought I was sterile. And so yeah, I was pregnant in a couple of weeks. Like, I was on my life path. There was no fucking removing me. And no matter how many times I wanted to remove myself. And so all I wanted to get people to see is like, you have more control over your life path. Like, but it's not like you're going to trick the universe. Not like, no, you learning it was always going to be when you learned it. So there's no like tricking the universe like, oh, they weren't prepared for it. No, everything happens exactly the moment. Every fucking precision is exactly when it was going to happen. Like, it's literally developing patterns of like a kaleidoscope in our colors as we move around and interact with each other, and our colors go bright and dim, and it's really quite fabulous. And so but if you're young and you're just coming out the gate and you're like, oh, this world is so crazy, how will I ever get a job? Work on you, work on your skills. Like, go in and try and figure out, what do I really love, what is my passion, and go towards your passion. Don't go towards, like, there was this video I saw yesterday that bothered me, and I feel like I probably hurt this girl's feelings, and I didn't mean to. But this is, as part of like having empathy and being honest. It's like a very fine line. And I didn't even realize who I was talking to when I first made the response. So this girl, it was a video, and she has this big giant bully, and she's this woman, and she's hugging it, and it's just laying like it just loves her, just like, oh. And she says that she's giving it back, like she's done fostering it, and then you know, like he doesn't seem to understand he's going back or something, and she feels bad or something. I was like, this is fucking heartbreaking. Like this whole fostering thing, like I already saw the holes in it, and I don't know how many times I've ever mentioned it or whatever, but I was like, this is so fucking toxic what's going on with the dogs. Even this fostering thing, like they think this is the big solution. But then you get these dogs, like this dog has been with her for 7 months. She has been taking this dog because he's reactive. So she's been getting up at 5 in the morning and going and walking him for 2 hours at some place where there's nobody around so that he can be relaxed at home during the day where she goes to work or whatever. But now she wants to go back to school and get her master's and get a better job and all this stuff. And this is the thing, is where they get people to go chase this thing. Like her job, her school, all that is never going to give back the love that this dog has for her. And these animals are here to teach us hard fucking lessons. And so she and I don't know if she's gonna, you know, she seemed pretty determined that she was giving this dog back. She wanted to go on with her life. And I tried to say, you know, that you're gonna get way more out of the love from this dog. You're never gonna find that love at your job and schools and stuff like that. And but young people, they get all thinking that that's, you know, where they're going to find their answers, and it's not. So when you are coming out of the thing, you want to figure out what your passion is, but you don't want to go into it as a third party. Well, if I could do this for them, then I could make money. This is the thing, the illusion part that keeps so many people trapped, is this way of thinking like, well, I got to go make money. I've got to go do that. I feel like it's a big part of letting go of that concept. Like you gotta, it's like lowering your standards raises the bar. It's like you being able to say like, fuck, I could live in a goddamn hut on a beach and carve wood carvings and sell them on the beach and, you know, live a happy life. And then where other people would think, well, that's the life of a bum. Why wouldn't you do that when you could go and be a CEO over here and like be in this corporate world or something? But I feel like there's so much more of trying to find your passion, trying to find what it is that you are interested in and going in that direction. And then when you do come across different people who you're attracted to and you want to jump on board and jump in and start going into that relationship, go at it so much slower. Go at it at a pace where, you know, you're not just jumping in bed. That makes things so much more complicated. You know, spend time with the person. Go do things like more in a friend group, like the kind of stuff that they used to tell us back in the, like I think in the 50s, and then my mom passed it on in the 60s and 70s and stuff of, you know, like go out with groups. Don't just go out and, you know, get yourself in these situations, and go out and get to know the person, like really get to know them and see what it is that, you know, but at the same time, get to know yourself, because this is what you're learning about yourself, because most of the people that come into your orbit, into your path, are there to teach you about yourself. And so there's parts of yourself that you are not going to see because you get focused on, oh, I like them. And, you know, and so it changes the dynamic, but you got to learn about yourself, because that is the part that, I don't know, lessens the blow of life. Is that when you are going out there just going through relationships and you're lost, it is very toxic. It's very much, you will be very depressed. Like one breakup can fucking destroy a person. You know, and when you're doing a breakup after breakup after breakup, you're being broken. And then you think, like, there's a lot of people that think, like, well, big deal, breaking up with somebody. Go fucking do it. Go do it. There's a reason why there's so much ghosting going on. It's like, fuck, it's hard. It's hard to break up with people. It's hard to be broken up with, and it's hard to break up with people. Both things suck. And, you know, some people have to go out there and learn those lessons, but there is a way to kind of sidebar some of these lessons, is go at it towards you. Just go at the pace of learning about you. I want to learn about me. I want to learn what kind of people do I like to be around? What kind of things do I like to do? What kind of, you know, because the journey is about you. And then the more that you learn about yourself and you discover about yourself, and the more you take care of yourself and stuff, then the People who are good for you will start coming into your orbit. They'll start coming into your energy. And that is when, you'll be able to recognize, like, who's good for you and who isn't good for you. Because when you're out there and you're just damaged goods and you're going around like, are you my mother? You can't recognize who's good for you and who's bad for you. You're too broken. You can't tell. And you think that people, because they are, love bombing you and stuff like that, well, they must really care. No, is they're very dysfunctional and they're trying to get you to make them feel better. Is there like a very toxic fucking thing that goes on when everybody out there who's dating doesn't like themselves? So, yeah, you don't want to be dating other people who don't like themselves, especially if you are having problems liking yourself. So the journey is to learn how to love yourself, learn how to like yourself, learn how to love yourself, and then learn how to love everyone else and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So that's what I got to say about it. Talk to you later. Bye.